All right, so now we have the data to the server. We just need to log it to our database. We already created our .env file, so we need to now read in that URI for Mongo from the .env file. So this code is going to be the same as what we wrote in the last unit. So we're going to load our environment variables from the .env file into processes.env. That's how the .env node module works. So just like we did previously, .env is our variable. We'll require .env. It's already specified in our package file. And then we do .env.config. And we say the path to our environment file is .env at the root level. So now it's all those variables. Right now we only have one. We'll add more later. But all those variables are loaded into process.env. So now here in server.js, we can connect to the database right away. So const connect db, we're going to say require. And there's a separate file we're going to require here. We're going to look at that in a second. But it's inside of the server folder and inside the database folder, and then it's called connection. So this JavaScript file exports the connect DB function. So we're just going to call it right here. So here's the new code to connect to our database. So again, we want to keep server.js from getting too long, too much code, too bloated. So all of the database connection code we've decomposed into a separate file. That file exports a function. We call that function here. In the interest of time, and because this is familiar to us, we're not going to type this connection.js code. It's already part of your starter code. So if I pull that open, we can see that it's just slightly different than what we did previously in this unit. So I want to just highlight those differences. We're using a different node module now. So previously we required and we used the MongoDB node module. We're now using a node module called Mongoose. Mongoose is this really helpful node module that helps us more efficiently and powerfully bridge between JavaScript and MongoDB. So from now on, we'll be using Mongoose, and I'll show you an advantage of it in a moment. Most of the methods we call on the Mongoose object are the same as those that we were calling on the MongoDB one. We still call connect. We still pass the URI to the database with our credentials. So this is, pretty similar as to what we had previously. It's just we're using Mongoose instead of MongoDB. What's neat about Mongoose is inside the server folder, inside the model folder, that's where all of our JSON was for all of our competencies. There's also this thing called entry.js in your starter code. So I didn't think it was worth our time to type this all in. Not that it's that long, but what Mongoose lets us do is we can define what's called a schema that basically defines, hey, here's a JavaScript object and the corresponding Mongo document. So in entry.js, I'm defining a schema for a journal entry. And I'm saying, okay, a journal entry schema consists of a date of type date, and it's required. You have to specify a date. There's an email of type string, that's required. There's a competency of type string, that's required. And then there's the content of the journal entry, that's of type string, and that's required as well. These are Mongo types, not like JavaScript types and not like HTML DOM types. So sometimes we run into issues translating between all these different types, but Mongoose helps with that, which is great. So then we call the model function on Mongoose, and I'm saying here is the schema for the entry class, and then we export this entry model, and then we just can use this to create new database objects, which is super, super convenient. So let me show you like how easy this is. So now let's go back to router.js, where we had our create entry thing. We need to pull in the model. So let's go up here at the top, and we're going to say const entry equals require ... / model / entry. Oops, I forgot my quotes. That's why it's yelling at me. So this pulls in the Mongoose model, which is the model for an entry object. And then if we go down here to the post, I'll get rid of my breakpoint. We don't really want to log this anymore. Actually, we can clean this up quite a bit. So get rid of this. We'll say const.entry equals. We want to make a new entry object. So we're going to say new entry. And then we need to pass as the argument the JavaScript object for like all the data that's going to go into our database object. So we have to, each of those properties that were specified as required, we need to have. So we're going to say one was date. Where do we get the date from? Well, it's rec.body.date. One was email. We don't have email support yet. We don't have authentication yet. So just put your email there. We'll just hard code that for now. Let me switch. What was it called? Competency. I don't want to like misspell it again. So competency was the other property. That's going to be rec.body.competency, I think is how we stored that. And then finally content, which is rec.body.content. This is very, very, very common. All the information we need, all the data we need is stored within rec.body. We pull it out of rec.body. We build a JavaScript object with all the properties we need. We pass that as an argument to create a new Mongoose object, which will automatically then be able to be written to the database. So once we've created this new object, adding it to the database is this simple. Await entry.save. We just tell the newly created object to save itself, and it knows what database collection it's associated with, and it just saves itself automatically. All right, we got an error here on await. How do I fix it? Exactly. I got to mark this as asynchronous. All right, let's try this really quick before we run out of time here. So I'm going to switch over to Chrome again. I'm going to create a new entry for today. Initiative and self-drive. Writing data to MongoDB. Submit. Oh, there's my breakpoint. Keep going. Turn that off. All right, I can see some of you are successful. So Here's an app I use called Compass. It's from Mongo. Lets me browse databases really easily. So I can see like some of your entries here, which is great. So here's the one I just did. So let me refresh. Do we have more now? We're up to 29. Some of these are from last year. That's why they look different. But cool. This is a good sign. Things are working. So this is a great place to pause.